and welcome to Miriam's Crafts. Today I'm going to show you how to crochet this tote bag here, this maxi bag here. For this bag you're going to need stitch markers. I used about 6 of them initially, and then later on you're going to need an extra one. Also, you're going to need a tape measure, and you're also going to need a crochet hook size 6mm, and then a scissors. I use two colors, red and black, but you can use any other color that you want. You can even use one color throughout. Okay, so let's begin. So for this you're going to need 6 stitch markers. I have specifically chosen this yellow one for a reason. I'll show you later. So first of all, I'm going to begin with a chain of 22. Okay, chain of 22. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to come back when I have a chain of 22. Okay, so now I have a chain of 22. I'll be working with single crochet, okay, throughout the bag. So for single crochet, this is how we do it. We're going to skip this first chain here and begin in this one. So insert your hook, grab your yarn, pull it out. Now we have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the 2 loops. That's your single crochet. Okay, again in the next chain, grab your yarn, pull through. You have 2 loops. Okay, so that's single crochet. So I'm just going to continue. Okay, so just continue until you're left with 1 chain and then come back. Okay, so I'm now left with this 1 stitch here. Before I proceed any further, I'm going to mark this first stitch, this one, with the yellow stitch marker. Okay, you can choose any other different color than the others. Okay, so this one, it will be showing us where our starting point, okay, for each round. Okay, so I've put the first stitch marker here. Now here in this last stitch, this one, I'm going to put 4 single crochets. Okay, so I'm going to increase by 3 more. Instead of putting 1, I'm going to add 3 more single crochets, and in those 3 single crochets I'm going to put 3 stitch markers. Okay, so let me show you. So that's 1. Okay, so this one I'm not going to put a stitch marker, sorry. And then this is the second one. This one I'm going to put a stitch marker. Okay, this is the third. I'm putting another stitch marker again in this one, and this is the 4th. Okay, so I'm putting another stitch marker again. So these are going to be our stitches that we're going to be increasing throughout, so that we have an oval shape. So these are the 3 stitches that are going to maintain the stitch markers, and we increase them. Okay, so from here I'm going to continue this side with single crochet. Now we'll be placing our crochet hook into these holes. Okay, these ones. Okay, so we're just going to continue with single crochet. Okay, into the next. Okay, so continue with single crochet up until you are left with this one, this last row here. Okay, so now I'm left with this last row here. The others I've already put single crochets. So in this one, instead of putting one single crochet, I'm going to put 3 single crochets, okay? And I'm going to mark 2 of the single crochets, okay? So this is one. Don't worry about the holes, they'll close later on. And this is the second. I'm going to put a stitch marker into this one. And this is the third. And I put the last stitch marker so that we have a total of 6 stitch markers, okay? So here we have 3 and here we have 3. And these are the stitches that we're going to be increasing. By increasing, I mean we're going to be putting two stitches instead of 1, okay? And we'll be replacing the stitch markers again up until we have the desired shape, the base of our bag. We want to achieve this oval shape here, okay? Okay, so now let's continue. We are now moving on to round number 2. Okay, so the stitch marker is playing an important role. One, it is our point where we're going to be increasing. Also, it is a point that is showing us the starting point of our round. So we need to keep this one, okay? So I remove it, and then I'm starting round number 2. So I'm going to be increasing in this stitch. So this is the first stitch of the inside this inside this stitch. So I'm going to put the stitch marker back to mark the starting point as well as the stitch that we're going to increase in the coming round, okay? So again, I put another single crochet in this stitch, okay? So I proceed with 1 single crochet in each stitch up until I reach another stitch that has got a stitch marker, okay? So that's how we're going to be increasing, okay? So let's just continue and meet up at the next stitch marker, which is going to be this one. Okay, so I'm now at this stitch marker here, so I'm going to remove it, and in this stitch I'm going to put 2 single crochets and mark the first one, okay? I'm going to put 2 single crochet. That's an increase. So this is the first one, and I'm going to mark it. I'm going to replace this single crochet, this stitch marker, like that, and then I put another single crochet in that same stitch, okay? I move on to the next stitch marker, this one. I remove it. I put 2 single crochets again in this one and mark the first one. This is the first one, and I'm going to put back the stitch marker, and then I put another single crochet in that same stitch, okay? I move to the third. I remove it, and then I put 2 single crochets and also mark the first one, okay? This is the first. So I put the stitch marker back into this one, and then I put the second single crochet, okay? So we have increased, okay? We had 3 stitches, now we have 6, okay? So I'm going to continue with single crochet, 1 single crochet in each stitch up until I'm back here at the next stitch marker. Okay, so let's continue and meet back here. Okay, so we've now reached the next stitch marker. Again, I'm going to remove the stitch marker and put 2 single crochets in this stitch and mark the first stitch, okay? I'm going to put 2 single crochets, okay? And then replace. I put back the stitch marker and put the next single crochet. Again, I move on to the next. I put 2 single crochets and mark the first one, and then put the second. So all that we're doing is that in the marked stitches we are putting 2 single crochets, we're increasing, okay? So this is our second row and it is done, okay? Remember, this is our starting point, so that means we are done with this one, okay? Moving on to the third row, we repeat what we did previously. I'm going to remove this stitch marker and put 2 single crochets in this one and mark the first one. This is the first, and then I put my stitch marker back. I put another single crochet in this one, okay, and then continue with 1 single crochet into every other stitch that is not marked, okay. Okay, so I'm just going to continue up until we are at the next stitch marker. Okay, so I'm now at the stitch marker, this one. I'm going to remove it, okay, and then I'm going to put 2 single crochets in this stitch and mark the first one. This is the first single crochet in this stitch, so I'm going to mark it, okay, and then I put the next, okay. So we now have a stitch in between the stitch markers. So in this one, I'm just going to put 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet. Now we're at the next stitch marker. I remove it again and put 2 single crochets and mark the first one. This is the first one that I just did, and then I put back my stitch marker, and then I put the second single crochet in that stitch. Then I move on to the next. This one, it doesn't have a stitch marker, so I'm going to put 1 single crochet, and then I'm now at the stitch marker. I remove it again, and then I put 2 single crochets and put back the stitch marker in the first one, this one, okay. By doing this, we are increasing the length of our base, the base of our bag. So I'm now going to continue with single crochet in each stitch up until I'm at the next stitch marker, this one. Okay, I'm now at the next stitch marker again. I remove it, and then I put 2 single crochets in that stitch and mark the first stitch, this one. I put back the stitch marker again. I put another single crochet in that stitch, okay, and then here we don't have a stitch marker, so we're just going to put 1 single crochet, okay. I remove this one again. I put 2 single crochets and then put my stitch marker back in the first one that I put, and then put the second single crochet. Here we don't have a stitch marker, and this is our last stitch of the round, okay. So as you can see, the oval shape is coming out, okay, the base of our bag. So now to count your rounds, you count them from this middle line here. So we now have 1, 2, 3 rounds. Now we want to move on to the 4th round, and we're going to repeat the same process just like we were doing. So this is our first stitch here. I remove the stitch marker, and then I put my first stitch, and in this stitch again we're going to be increasing, okay, and I put back my stitch marker. Make sure you don't forget to put back the stitch marker, okay, and then the second single crochet in that stitch, okay, and then I continue with 1 single crochet into every other stitch up until I'm at the stitch marker. So by doing this, you keep on increasing the length of your base, okay. So let's just continue and meet up here. So now I'm at the stitch marker here. As you can see, the number of stitches in between the stitch marker keeps on increasing, and that's fine. It shows that the base is also increasing in terms of length, okay. So I remove the stitch marker and I put 2 single crochets in that stitch and mark the first one. Don't forget to put back the stitch marker. As long as you still want to increase the base, you put back the stitch marker. That's where you're going to put an increase, okay. It is a guideline on which stitches to put and increase. Okay, so in this ones I'm going to put 1 single crochet in each, and then in this one I remove it. Again, I put 2 single crochets in this one. With this method, you don't have to worry about counting your stitches. Okay, put back your stitch marker. You just have to remember to put back your stitch marker, and to know that in those stitches you're supposed to put 2 stitches instead of 1. Okay, so now I made this one. Again, I put 2 single crochets into this stitch and mark the first one, like that, and then put the second stitch, single crochet. Okay, so now I continue with 1 single crochet into every stitch up until I'm at the next stitch marker. Okay, I'm going to continue. Let's meet here. Okay, so I'm now at the stitch marker here. I'm left with these 2 so that I finish up this round. Okay, so I remove again, and then put 2 single crochets in that one and mark the first stitch. This is the first stitch that I'm referring to in the stitch, and then put another single crochet. I continue with single crochet in each stitch for these ones that are not marked. Okay, I remove again this one, and then put 2 single crochets in this one, and then put back my stitch marker. Okay, and this is my last stitch of the round. So this is round number 4 and it's complete. Okay, now moving on to round number 5, we're going to continue with the same pattern that we're doing. I remove the stitch marker for the first stitch, and I put 2 single crochets and mark the first one to represent our first stitch as well as our stitch of increase. Okay, then I put another stitch in there in that same stitch, and then I continue with 1 single crochet in each stitch up until I'm at the next stitch marker. So let's just continue again up until we are back here. Okay, we're now at the next stitch marker again. I remove it and put 2 single crochets in this one. I put back my stitch marker, I put the other single crochet, and then I continue with 1 single crochet in the unmarked stitches that do not have the stitch markers. Okay, then in this one I put 2 single crochets, and then I continue again. So this is the sequence that you continue doing up until you have the desired length of base that you want. Okay, so for us we're just going to do 6 rounds for the base. If you want it to be wider, you can do 7 or 8. Okay, so repeat and complete this round. This is round 5, so continue and complete round 5 and then do round 6, and then let's meet at round number 7. Okay, so continue and finish up and then do another round, and then let's meet again here. Come back. So I've completed my round 6. Okay, if you are to count 1 2 3 4 5 6, so we now have round 6 rounds. Okay, so now proceeding onwards, you're not going to increase any more stitches at the corners here. Okay, so I'm going to remove these pink ones, these stitch markers. They are no longer necessary. I'm going to remain with the yellow one, which is going to be there to mark my starting point. I'm going to remove this ones. Okay, so this is the base of our bag. Okay. Okay, so this is the base of our bag. Okay, so from now onwards, we're just going to crochet with single crochet up until we're towards the finish of the bag. Okay, so I'm just going to show you with this round number 7, and it's going to be a repeat round up until we have our desired height. So we're no longer putting 2 stitches in this, we're just putting one stitch only, and then put back the stitch marker. Okay, and then proceed to the next stitch, putting one single crochet into every stitch, one single crochet into every stitch. I'm just going to continue with one single crochet into every stitch. As you can see, our work is now curving inwards, and that's exactly what we want. So I'm just going to continue right round, putting one single crochet into every stitch up until I'm back here. Welcome back. So I've just completed the 7th round, and as you can see, our work is curving inwards, but we want this to be the outside, so you turn it outside like this. Okay, so that when we now crochet, we crochet like this. Okay, so I'm going to crochet 12 more rounds and then come back. Okay, 12 more rounds from here and then come back. Hello and welcome back. So this is where I am right now. This is row number 19 from the beginning, and as you can see, our bag is taking shape, kind of big for all your shopping, right? Okay, so now I want to change the color from black to red, and I was about to begin row number 19. Okay, so I'm just going to change the color a little bit, put some brightness there. So I'm going to be putting red. Okay, so my stitch marker for the starting point. So instead of taking the red one, the black one, I'm going to now put the red one. We'll need the black one later on, so I'm just going to cut this one off. Okay, like that. And then again I put my stitch marker. Where is it? Like that. So I'm just going to continue with single crochet, but now with the red color. Okay, so I'm going to do 12 more rounds just like we did here, and then come back. Okay, come back. So this is now our back. Okay, and these are the 12 rows of the red color, and this is the black color. So the height of our bag now is about 35 centimeters. Okay, so now we want to finish it off by putting the handles. So what I've done here is that I've divided my bag into 2. Okay, and then I've marked this corner here is for the other half, and then this one here is for the other half. So we have half of the stitches this side, and then half of the stitches the other side. Then what you're going to do next is you're going to count 11 stitches from this stitch marker, and then you mark. Okay, you count 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11, and then you mark in the following. And then again from this other half, again you count 11 stitches, and then you mark. Okay, then you leave these ones in between. So repeat again that with this side. We're going to remain with this one here. It's our starting point. And from here onwards, I'm also going to introduce black color and we'll be crocheting with slip stitch. Okay, so now let's continue. Now moving on to the next row. I've just cut the red color here, so now I'm introducing black again. If you want, you can carry on with red, it's still fine, or the color of your choice. So from here onwards, we're going to be crocheting with slip stitch. Okay, so I'm just going to introduce slip stitch right here, and with slip stitch you insert your hook and then grab your yarn and pull it all the loops, and then you're done. Okay, so that's my first. And then again with slip stitch, that's my slip stitch. Don't worry about this, we'll fasten them off later on. Okay, so I'm going to move into this stitch. We no longer need this one. What's now important are these two here. Okay, these are for our handles. Okay, so I'm just going to continue with slip stitch. So that's how you do slip stitch. You set your hook, grab your yarn and pull it through like that. It's a very simple stitch. Okay, up until you reach this next stitch marker here. Okay, so now we're at the stitch marker. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain and then skip these stitches. Okay, the chain is for our handle. Depending on how long you want your handle to be, it can be very short, it can be long. Okay, so let's see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 18 15 16 18 19 sorry 21 22 23 24 5 26 27 28 29 30. Okay, if we were to join, this would be our handle. It's a bit short, but I think it is also for shorter length. It's fine. I'm just going to add 10 more stitches. Okay, so that the chain becomes 40. 1 32 33 34 35 36 37 39 and then 40. Okay, so that's now the length of our handle, and I think it's fine. So then I'm going to join in the next stitch here with a slip stitch. Okay, like that. And then I continue. These stitch markers are no longer useful, so I remove them. I no longer need them. So I continue with slip stitch. So I'm going to repeat the same process that I did here of skipping and then a chain of 40 to the other side. Okay, so I'm now in the middle. The stitch marker here was for the purpose of marking the other half, so it's done its job. We'll remove it. So I'm just going to continue up until I'm here, and then I'm going to skip these stitches here and then chain 40, and then let's meet here at the stitch marker. Okay, so I've completed this round of slip stitch, and these are our handles. Okay, so now we're going to continue with slip stitch again, another round. We're going to do another round of slip stitch. So this time you've been setting on top of the stitch like that. Okay, you've been setting on top like that. Okay, that's how we're going to do our slip stitch right round. On the top loop we have this one and this one, so I'm inserting on this one. Okay, okay, like this, and this is how it should look like. And then again on the chain you continue with slip stitch into each and every chain like this. Okay, so continue right round up until you're back here again. After that, repeat again with slip stitch 2 more rounds. So from here we're going to finish this round of slip stitch and then do 2 more rounds of slip stitch again, and then we meet here. Okay, welcome back. So I've just finished the other 2 rounds of slip stitch, and these are my handles, and this is how they look like. Okay, and these are the finishing lines. Okay, so this is our back. Okay, so to finish off I'm just going to do 1 slip stitch into the first stitch here, and then cut and fasten off like that. Okay, so I'm just going to fasten this one. Okay, so I'm just going to fasten this one inside and then come back. Okay, so I've just finished off fastening the ends, and this is our back, and it's done. Let me just zoom it out so that you can see. So this is our back, and it's done. It's a maxi bag, one that fits all. With this one you can go shopping without any worries. And this is the inside. Okay, with just single crochet. Okay, thank you for watching Miriam's Crafts. Please subscribe for more details. Also like and comment. Thank you.